We'll start off outside. This is dreamily soft, floaty. Tell us where you're at and what you're wearing.
I think this look was very Jane Birkin inspired.
Okay.
Denims and then, a
the muse of all muses for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes. And basically I just climbed out of my flat window onto the roof and I was like, it's a great day and I feel like the outfit just works in this environment.
Is this the flat in Brighton?
No, my flat in Stoke Newington.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just a nice day. So I felt, this has to be a very summer look. And I think this blouse was I went sourcing a bunch of vintage. And then I found quite a few of these blouses. And I was like, I need to keep one because it's cute.
Tell me about the belt tuck, because this is something that I've seen around. I've not tried it myself. Is this a signature move of yours?
It is kind of a signature move because I think in the past I would wear the belt and it would just like flap.
Right.
And I was like, that's not a look. That's not cool. So my friend showed me. He's a fashion stylist and an art director. And he's like, right, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
From now on into the future.
It works.
And it works. It kind of creates like a bit of like a statement around the waist. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
The accessories, very rural, idyllic. We've got a wicker basket. What's in the other hand? Is it...
I just kind of put a pot with like flowers because I was kind of like, the flowers didn't fit into my little Jane Birkin inspired basket.
Okay.
So I was like, right, I'm going to put it on the other side. And yeah, that basket, I actually wore that a lot in summertime. It is the most unpractical basket ever.
In what way? Just difficult to work with, difficult to carry?
Yeah, and you could just lose things and things drop out. It doesn't close up. But I was like, it's painful to be beautiful. Kind of just have to rock it. Like if it works with the outfit, you just got to do it.
Indeed. So the other thing I want to touch on is like the kind of soft, filmic, floaty aesthetic. Is it shot on film or have you got a sick app for making it look like that?
I've never been into very digital hard lighting. I guess that's part of my 70s aesthetic. So I've just gone through so many apps, just trial and error. And so I just shoot it on my phone and then I put it through this filter app and it just kind of makes everything look dreamy.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through 1,000,001 apps as well in search of analog softness and you've totally pulled the wool over my eyes there because that just looks like a vintage camera what shot on Portra 400. It looks soft. So are you gonna gatekeep the app or are you gonna let us know
I'm
which
very
one?
secretive. Like I only tell certain. I will tell you.
Okay.
I will. It's Daz.
Okay, we'll bleep that out.
Now everyone knows. So it's just, and also it costs so much money to shoot film, and most of the time it doesn't come out the way you want to. So I can take how many shots and I can just select and put it through this filter and it's pretty amazing. And I do get a lot of people saying to me, oh my God, what film are you using?
It's done a top job.
So, but yeah, it's Daz and it's got like a Polaroid effect. It's got this kind of filmy effect. It's got like a VHS film video option as well. So it's pretty cool. And you only pay like £5 or something a month.
For a month? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Premium. Okay, so we've got a MadSeventies staple here with the fringe in. Break this one down for me. Let's go boots up.
Boots up, right. Always have a cowboy boot. Like it's one of the things I'll always have. And then I guess my fashion has kind of evolved quite a lot. I think depends on my mood, basically. But I'm very into like men's oversized shirts.
Okay.
And also, I've never liked doing, a full 70s look, like bell sleeves, fringe waistcoat, flare jeans, and a cowboy boot. So I'm always trying to create a balance between more of a commercial piece or a more modern piece mixed with a vintage or 70s inspired. That jacket is one of the best.
It's
basically
incredible.
I moved to Brighton, and I kind of building a whole new home from scratch. So I'm always in like furniture stores, and we've got this amazing Brighton flea market that sells fashion as well as furniture.
Okay.
And I just saw this jacket hanging there, and it was like £60 or something. And I was just like, I've never seen a jacket like that. But like me, I wore it a few times, and I was like, right, time to circulate and send it off to a new person
story.
or and then, of course, cowboy hat. I mean, if there's one accessory for the rest of my life, it will be a cowboy hat. Definitely.
So I think there's quite a bit to unpack here. Let's start with the jacket, because is this something that came as is? Because I know you do a lot of fringing on existing jackets. Did this one come
this came
pre-fringed?
as is.
Yeah.
I knew I have to have it. Whether I'm going to wear it, someone else will definitely buy it. So when I buy fashion, I always buy things that, I guess I buy what I love.
Yeah.
But also know that it will be worth sending on to someone else. And there was so much detail in that jacket. So it's a bit crazy, but
for those people that are listening in audio, what have we got? What is the detailing? Is it embroidery? Is it some kind of?
It's got patch detail. It's got long suede fringing, and then it's got almost like chunky beading. So it's got almost like a North American element to it.
Yeah.
And then just on the back as well, it was incredible. It also had these big embroidered patches, and then fringe just going as an arch on the back. So it's just, I mean, it was just one of a kind piece. A lot of times I know I shouldn't sell these things, and there's definitely been like a lot of regrets in selling pieces. And I'm like, and then I think back a year ago, and I'm like, oh, I really should have kept that.
At least you got the fit pics to look back on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, cowboy boots, maybe I've tried one on actually, but I've never worn a cowboy boot for a prolonged
I think you should.
period. Do you think?
Should, yeah. If you come visit me in Brighton, you should wear a cowboy.
Size 8. Do the elevated heels give you a feeling of power? The thing
it's more the sound.
Exactly what I was going to ask.
The sound.
Okay.
It's the sound.
Is it metal heels? Is it?
Not really. Well, the metal heels is like, I think you definitely pay more for the metal heels if you don't want it to look cheap. But it's more, I love a chunky heel. I can't wear very much high heels.
Okay.
So this for me is very high. But for me, it's got like a powerful feeling when you walk and you just hear this like, it's almost like galloping.
Yeah, it's a deep clunk, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I wonder if there's something in that cowboys or horse riders, love the sound of a hoof on the floor and wanted to recreate the sound of a hoof on their own feet.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe.
That's true.
And equally, I've never worn a cowboy hat. Maybe I'll come down to Brighton.
There's always the first.
Is that an empowering feeling as well? Like,
definitely. I think for me, it's you have to have one statement, one key accessory, and I think I have to say, since moving to Brighton, there's been a lot of cowboy hats everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bachelorettes going around with pink cowboy hats. And there's definitely been a phase where I was like, I am putting my cowboy hat away for the time being. But then, on a night out, you can wear this with a long, simple beige dress, and then you add this cowboy hat, and it just elevates your look onto like another level.
It's so difficult when you wear a statement piece of clothing like that for the first time. If I was to dress up like that, I'd feel very costumey, but it's a kind of look that you've inhabited and lived in for a long time, so that I'm sure when you put exactly the same item of clothing on, it feels very natural, and you move relatively unself-consciously with it, whereas I would feel very self-conscious with a cowboy hat on. Did that take work for you? Did it ever feel more costumey than natural?
I've experimented with fashion since I've been 15 years old. So I guess I've definitely had worse looks. Like this is subtle.
Okay.
This is very subtle compared to, I mean, and also I think, if you get those stares, it means you've done something right.
For real.
You've definitely you definitely are standing out. And I think that was my thing forever, I think, just trying to find my niche and be unique. And I guess just experimenting with fashion. And yeah, definitely there's looks that I would never, ever repeat again. But I think I've found, and the older I'm getting, I've definitely dressed more down and a bit more classic. But then, of course, just that statement accessory like a cowboy hat or even like a big oversized pair of sunglasses, which was definitely also a staple of mine years ago. So yeah, I you know what, I think if you feel confident, you need to rock and wear whatever you want to wear.
Nice. We're going to dig into a little bit more of that eccentricity in the main body of the podcast. So last one, this is a killer pose. This looks very hippie, very kind of psychedelic to me. Tell us where you're at and what you're wearing in this one.
This was my era of doing Depop like heavily. Like I started my Depop account. I had things hanging on hangers, never sold. And then as soon as I started wearing it, it just sold straight away. Yeah. And these poses brought me or kind of gained me 500,000 followers on Depop. And I got horrible comments and feedback from customers or followers saying, oh my God, what's wrong with her body? Like, is she broken? She needs to go to the hospital.
On Depop, like in the reviews. Fucking hell.
And in the beginning, of course, for anyone hearing negative, feedback on your own body and what you do, it really knocks you. And then later on, I was like, well, you keep coming back, and there's a reason for it. And because I started doing this and incorporating that into like my shots, it just brought sales, gave me the big following, and I was kind of like, it doesn't really bother me. I know I'm not broken, but you can think what you want to think.
And there was no one else doing this at the time, was it?
No, I wouldn't say anyone was posing like this. Okay. I think that, and then also my weird dancing. I think dancing and then only adding music afterwards, which totally is not on the beat or, on rhythm. Yeah. Is also like sparks, like communicate, or like, sparks people talking and being like, oh God, like, what is she doing? And it just kind of works for me. So I was like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what works.
These poses look very dance inspired to me.
Yes, very David Bowie.
Yeah, so maybe I was thinking I know the reference for this, but I can't put my finger on exactly where it is. So is that the kind of places you were looking for inspiration when you were taking these pictures, musicians and artists of the 70s?
Definitely. I think in one of your questions you're asking me that, and basically I was inspired even in high school. My dad's record collection was my inspiration. I would take out the records, which is not a great thing for anyone that's a big record lover, and
they're meant to be played.
I'll take the sheets, the covers, and I'll put them on the wall. And then I just decide every morning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to channel this look. And then I go into, my dad or mum's wardrobe and try to recreate this look. But yeah, my poses definitely, I think that at this time was very David Bowie inspired, because he's done all that crazy poses with big flares and just dramatic and eccentric, and I absolutely love that.
And his body shape is quite long and limmy as well, so he can make very interesting shapes as a performer, I think, as well, which is inspiring to see. If I tried to do that, I'd look like...
We should try. You should show me your best move.
All right. So we've not really touched on the outfit there. For those listening in audio, tell us what you're wearing in this one.
If I think back now, skinny jeans, I think for me right now, it's probably not the most flattering garment, personally, looking back at it. But I think I was also, there was an element, me moving to London, the Kate Moss era, the rock and roll, where it's like skinny jeans, a Cuban heel, and like, you know, a cool blouse. So I'm wearing skinny jeans. And then always, I think you'll always see me in a Cuban heel or some sort of boot.
Chunky, thick
heel. And then I absolutely loved my bell sleeves and batwing sleeves. And then actually it's a really pretty waistcoat, embroidered waistcoat. I think I found it for like £5. And then I sold it on Depop. So yeah, I think it's, for me, this is quite a classic. It's actually not too eccentric, but it's a classic with a twist of like 70s. And
we're going to discuss the Depop era a little bit more in the main body, but what year are we talking here? I think I might have cut the date off, but from a guess, what are we thinking?
Probably 2017, when I was heavily doing Depop.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that you were selling on there, you were sourcing at more traditional vintage or second-hand places and then selling on there. It wasn't like you were getting the stuff on Depop and
No. I think when I moved to London, I was so excited about all the charity shops.
Yeah.
And my mission would be on the weekend to find an outfit under £10 that's pre-loved.
Yeah.
And I guess me doing that, posting that on Instagram, people were like, oh my God, £10 for this entire look. It was an absolute inspiration for them. Because I think a lot of people need a lot of guidance in the sense of like how to put an outfit together. And I kind of was that channel to kind of be like, well, you don't need to spend a lot of money on fashion to actually look really nice and cool, you know, just feel good about it. So yeah, and basically I would just go to charity shops and buy loads and loads. And that would mean sourcing for like 4 or 5 hours, just losing myself.
And did you lose yourself, or did you slip into that zen flow state of thrifting focus?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I even tried that with friends, and I was like, this is not working for me because I'm at my own pace and very, you know, have my earphones on, listening to David Bowie and Rolling Stones, and just really taking my time. Where I literally it gets to 4 o'clock, and you just realize, oh my God, I've just been shopping the whole day.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And I think I know the feeling that you're talking about. Like, I used to buy a lot of records and going into old record shops and walking your fingers over the top of it. You got fast at it. I'm imagining your fingers going through rails, similarly like processing information at light speed. Yeah. And you do sense of timelessness, a sense of like forward momentum through it, and it's a pretty beautiful feeling that you don't get from many other things. It's definitely
my happy place. Me in charity shops is my happy place, I think. And also I guess I've gained the skill of going in and I can find something like within minutes, or I can...
A sixth sense, like a magical
exactly, or if I'm in, I know there's nothing here. So it's kind of like those years of sourcing for 4, 5, 6 hours have now gotten me to a point where I'm like, I can spot things. And people just don't know how to do it or how I managed to do it. But I guess it's just like being so involved and making it like my hobby, my everyday kind of project.
Yeah. Hey, so we're going to dig into the sourcing side a little bit in the main interview. But thanks a million for doing that.
No
Appreciate
worries.
it a lot.
Yeah,
nice
no worries.